just stop. I want Turning Point USA to, for once in their lives, do the right thing and pay me a monthly retainer to consult them on PR. To just say no. Nope, no. So I say to myself, the numbers of the prisoners, they cannot be random. They are random, but they can't be random. They have to hold some sort of a meaning.
This is split personality disorder, obviously. You know, it might even be equal parts schizophrenia, but what this is not is an actual gender, obviously. She's not a tri-gender.
So, according to what's circulating online, Erika Kirk just leaked private medical records that supposedly expose Candace's past psychiatric treatment. In fact, there are now claims she was once placed on a secret psychiatric hold, and her husband has been helping her manage her symptoms. And if that's true, then this Erika Kirk and Candace Owens situation just crossed into territory that honestly feels hard to come back from. And it's not just about Erika crossing a line. It's about the fact that people online are saying this supposed diagnosis explains why Candace has spiraled so badly these last few years. I mean, she went from making outrageous claims about Brigitte Macron's identity to claiming Charlie Kirk was being hunted by multiple governments' intelligence agencies. And then there's the fact that Candace has repeatedly claimed that her life is being targeted by either the government or her so-called enemies. It's gotten to the point where people have stopped wondering if she's delusional to wondering if she's dealing with some undisclosed condition. And this alleged leaked medical record basically confirms everything. Before we get into that though, there's one detail making this situation spiral even faster.
Bro, what the is going on with Candace Owens?
You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared?
I don't even know the context of that clip. I just know that getting on camera and saying that is crazy.
Now, before these alleged medical records even started circulating, Candace Owens had already been spiraling publicly for days on Twitter, and people definitely noticed it, because instead of going after just one person, Candace suddenly seemed to be fighting with what felt like half the conservative internet all at once. And one of the biggest names she started targeting was her former Daily Wire boss, Ben Shapiro. Candace went online accusing Ben and people connected to him of allegedly coordinating attacks against her, and even targeting her family behind the scenes. Listen to her talk about it here.
They're still running this game of trying to get the press to go after me, to go after my family. So when I say it has been a nonstop onslaught against my life, this is what I mean. And I do think it's time for us to share the documents so people can actually read the documents of what my family has lived through.
The problem is, she never actually showed proof of any of it. So while some fans were riding for her, a lot of other people started saying she looked emotional, paranoid, and completely all over the place online. But what really made the situation awkward was the timing. Because while Candace was accusing everybody else of supposedly smearing her name, she was also on her own podcast, dragging Erika Kirk nonstop. Candace was full-on clowning her, calling her dishonest, mocking her publicly, and reopening every accusation she had already made about Erika in the past. As you guys probably know, Candace has been obsessed with this Erika situation for a while now, especially when it comes to Charlie Kirk's death. So during this recent podcast episode, she doubled down harder than ever and basically suggested Erika still needed to be investigated over what happened to her husband. Check this out.
So yeah, across the board, people are laughing, they're mocking it, they're saying it was, you're lying, and also it's just weird. It was weird and it was awkward. And speaking of the lying, which, like I said, many people called out right away, as that person said, I've never made that statement on this podcast.
And when whispers about this alleged leaked psychiatric report suddenly started spreading online shortly after this, people started wondering whether Erika finally snapped after being publicly humiliated over and over again by Candace. Now looking back, the reason these alleged psychiatric leak rumors spread so fast is because a lot of people online were already convinced Candace Owens has been fighting some unseen battle for years. And honestly, after watching the way she's spiraled publicly lately, that narrative was not hard for people to buy into at all. And for a lot of viewers, the moment things really crossed into strange territory was when Candace launched that campaign against Brigitte Macron, the wife of Emmanuel Macron. Because Candace didn't just question Brigitte publicly. She went all in on the claim that Brigitte was supposedly born male and had been lying about her identity for years. She talked about it like it was some huge cover-up the media was hiding from the public. But what really made people uncomfortable was the way she started presenting completely debunked material like it was undeniable proof. At one point, Candace was circulating an old photo they claimed showed a young Brigitte as a little boy. Except, investigators and journalists later pointed out the child in the photo was reportedly Brigitte's brother, not Brigitte herself. And even after people corrected it, Candace kept talking about the situation with this intense level of certainty that honestly threw a lot of viewers off.
It is time for you to wake up. So we will start from the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneau. That person that you are looking at on the right is not a woman. Okay? Here is a photo, by the way. Just over the years, Jean-Michel Tragno as he became Brigitte. As I said,
Now add all of that on top of these recent Twitter meltdowns, the nonstop feuds, and the Erika Kirk obsession, and suddenly people started revisiting old clips of Candace very differently. And the deeper people dug into those old podcast moments, the darker the conversation around her mental state started getting. Now the wild part is, Erika Kirk never really came out directly and said, "I have proof Candace Owens is mentally ill." But she absolutely did start calling Candace out repeatedly over what she described as nonstop lies, harassment, and targeted attacks against her family. You can see her do that in this clip.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
And honestly, some viewers thought Candace would eventually move on once Erika responded publicly, except that never happened. Instead, Candace doubled down harder every single time Erika spoke out, and eventually, she took things to another level completely when she launched that so-called investigative podcast series called Bride of Charlie. Candace spent hours picking apart almost every aspect of Erika's life publicly. She questioned Erika's childhood stories, attacked her business dealings, accused her of lying about parts of her education and background, and even tried connecting her indirectly to Jeffrey Epstein and allegations. Just listen to how vindictive she sounds here.
like I said, this is very obviously something Erika should answer for. You want to be the queen bee? You want to be a public figure? You want people floating your name as for president of the United States? Well, let's get to a little bit of background. Who are you? What were you doing?
And then came the accusation that really made people uncomfortable. Candace heavily implying multiple times that Erika may have had something to do with Charlie's death. And once those episodes started circulating, even people who normally support Candace began saying she sounded way too emotionally invested in destroying Erika personally. One article from the New York Post described Candace's behavior as libelous, calling the investigative series a loosely stitched together collection of sewerish falsehoods and innuendo smearing Erika Kirk. And honestly, that description spread everywhere because a lot of people felt like it perfectly summed up what they had been watching. So by the time rumors about these alleged psychiatric records started leaking, the internet had already picked a side emotionally. And eventually, it became obvious that Erika Kirk had finally hit her limit. Because after months of trying to dance around directly naming Candace Owens, she finally stopped being vague and called her out publicly herself. Erika accused Candace of spending months pushing narratives that painted her like she murdered her own husband, and she made it clear she viewed Candace's behavior as hateful and intentionally malicious. And you can hear the frustration in the way she was talking in this clip.
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
But what people also noticed was that Erika still stopped herself from using the S word the internet had already been throwing around about Candace for months. And some viewers believe that restraint came from the fact that, despite everything, Candace had once been close to Charlie Kirk. Now that restraint did not apply to Laura Loomer at all, because she wasted absolutely no time jumping into the situation and dragging Candace for filth. She posted on Twitter, after accusing Erika Kirk and TPUSA of killing Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens is now claiming Erika is a billionaire and that she and TPUSA should hire Candace Owens. This is schizophrenic behavior. The second Laura said that, the conversation exploded even more because suddenly other conservative commentators started openly agreeing with her instead of staying neutral. And honestly, this was when the situation stopped feeling like ordinary internet drama entirely. Because the deeper this conversation went, the darker the allegations surrounding those supposed leaked records became. And honestly, the part that keeps making this situation spiral even harder online is the pattern people have noticed every single time Candace Owens starts facing serious backlash or public scrutiny. Whenever Candace gets cornered publicly, she suddenly pivots into claiming she received some kind of secret intel, warning her that powerful people are trying to harm her. People saw this right after the defamation lawsuit Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron brought against her escalated. She suddenly started saying she had received information suggesting the Macrons had hired a special army to eliminate her. But of course, she conveniently couldn't show any actual proof shown publicly. No evidence, no documents, no names attached to the supposed intel, nothing nothing people could independently verify. And that's why so many people online started connecting this behavior to the bigger conversation surrounding her mental state. Because to them, it wasn't just one isolated accusation anymore. They started seeing a repeated cycle. Candace makes an explosive claim, people challenge it, and then suddenly there's another dramatic story about hidden enemies, secret plots, or powerful people targeting her behind the scenes. Even some former supporters have started saying the pattern was getting hard to ignore, especially after all the feuds, the Erika Kirk obsession, the Brigitte Macron conspiracy, the random accusations against allies, and now these alleged leaked psychiatric records all collided at the exact same time publicly. And honestly, by this point, people aren't even debating whether Candace is controversial anymore. The conversation online has shifted into something way darker than that, because now people are asking whether everybody around her ignored warning signs for years, while things quietly kept escalating behind closed doors.